R4 is really an R2 painted red, isn't it?
Careful what you're saying about R4, because you can get bopped on the head real quick.
Actually, we could have got the angle just right.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody, to Dork Forces Podcast. This is issue number 73. I'm Kyle Katarn,
the
Bendu, and we are joined today by someone who possibly needs no introduction. If you're part of the Star Wars Twitter community, you know Sawyer. Sawyer the Indomitable. Say hello for the people.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. We are here to talk Star Wars and all things Star Wars related. Of which there's so much going on right now. There's like a ton of things happening, both like in terms of the shows and the properties that are being released. Like we got Star Wars Outlaws around the horizon, Acolyte's coming out right now, but also within the community itself, there seems like there's crazy dramatic developments happening on a daily basis. And a lot of it is very, very tiring, just for me personally.
Yeah. It is true. I wasn't sure where exactly we wanted to start. I have a whole soapbox that could potentially be stepped on, but...
Oh, you got something to say. This is a man with something to say, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, a person, not a man, but...
I stand corrected.
No, but for Sawyer, how would you describe your experience so far? I mean, especially from the Star Wars online community. What has been your biggest observation, I guess?
You know, that's a really good question. I think, and I actually just recorded an episode of my podcast about this specifically today, so it's been on my mind. But I think there's a lot of mixed emotions, right? Because this is a lot of what we're seeing is stuff that we're not unfamiliar with.
Sure.
A lot of, a lot of the same, perhaps an uptick. It's been a little louder this time around, and I think that's just because of the sheer amount of representation, not only in the cast of the Acolyte, but in the crew and creative team as well. And so I think there's that, but also there's also been a lot of hope that I've been feeling. And by the time that I got around to collecting all my thoughts about the situation and sat down to make a video, it had been after the intro, like everybody was posting introductions, like, oh, right. I'm so and so, and this is my Twitter page, and that made me feel really great, and it reminded me why I'm a Star Wars fan and why I make content in the Star Wars community. And I feel like the biggest thing that we can all do as a community is to not talk about there needs to be a lot more blocking and a lot more ignoring of that side of things, because I think at the end of the day, the fandom is made up of really wonderful people who love Star Wars. And I had the privilege of talking to Molly Damon a couple hours ago, and something she said was, the people that go to Star Wars Celebration and Comic-Cons, everybody's got a lightsaber, everybody's got a costume, everybody is just celebrating Star Wars. People love Star Wars, and there's a lot more positivity than there is negativity. I think the online space, it's a free for all.
Representative sometimes. I feel like there's a very vocal minority, and it can feel like they're everywhere. But in fact, that's not really the case. And all you really got to do is like attend a Star Wars celebration or any sort of an in-person Star Wars event, and you'll see the difference in front of you. The anonymity of the internet really emboldens a lot of voices that really don't emerge in person. And I think there's a really dark side to this age of social media communication, and there really is an ugliness that's allowed to kind of fester in people's online identities, because you do have that separation, and you don't have to. You could say these mean things to someone and you don't have to look them in the eyes. And I think it's really given rise to something quite ugly in society. And I don't really know what we can do to address it, other than, like you said, to just, to block, to snuff that out, and not inadvertently give signal boosts to these people. Because a lot of the time, these disingenuous arguments and criticisms, they're baiting you into a confrontation where they can then use your platform for their own purposes. And it's it's not something that we're not obligated to give them that, you know. I think, and it's something that I have to work on personally as well, is like just protecting your peace over, you know, getting a few likes on Twitter for some like well-crafted clapback. Like it's not worth it. And more importantly, it doesn't contribute to bringing people together, which is really what we should be working towards in all of our interactions, especially with people who disagree with us. Like that's where it actually counts, you know. You can say whatever you want to people that already echo your opinions. That's no work that needs to be done there. And that's something that I think a lot of people kind of let fall by the wayside as soon as tempers rise. And that this is one of those times because of the ramping up of all this hate and all this vitriol and very targeted like brigading, like the review bombing, for example, of the Acolyte. It's put everyone on edge. And I think everyone is hyper defensive. And even when interacting with someone else who wants what you want and is on the same wavelength as you, you can interpret anything as a personal attack. And you're just so ready for that attack to come that like you see it where it isn't there. And I think that we're all guilty of that right now. We're really snapping at each other. And like, it doesn't need to be that way. It really, I think if the entire fandom could just like step outside and take 5 minutes of air, I think that would go a long way right now.
That's a very true point. That's a very valid point. I was kind of looking through the comments here and saying that unfortunately the Twitter hate doesn't always reflect real life.
Absolutely.
Like unfortunately, like in some local game stores, I have like heard, you know, relative hate. I know in some locations, some places are a bit more vocal about their disgust of certain changes within the Star Wars production team and within the casting and just the overall growth. And I will emphasize the word of growth within the Star Wars family. But at the same time, going along the lines of what Sawyer was saying, this also is a very prime opportunity for us to grow as a fandom and as a group. Because a few weeks ago, I was 100% feeling what you were saying, Katarn, of almost immediately feeling the need to defend, not necessarily even the Acolyte, but other forms of Star Wars, or like even Moses's performance of Reva when Kenobi came out. Like there were so many things that I think some people are just going to choose to nitpick because it's just fun for them to nitpick. Sure. And at the end of the day, I think if anything, those louder people just makes it easier to spot them as gatekeepers. And at the end of the day, gatekeeping really isn't part of the growing atmosphere that we need to make for this fandom. And I don't consider myself a content creator. I honestly wish that I had a bit more of a platform within the community. But that's why I have my best friend here who is able to like at least kind of vocal and like mirror the same thoughts that I've had because we're
so simpatico on so many things.
But I mean, like I would love to like, you know, voice my opinion on other echoes. But at the same time, so what I was originally saying is the emphasis of gatekeeping, especially with this show, I think it didn't necessarily increase the divisiveness within the fandom, but if anything, it really just characterized and highlighted the difference of people who are willing to change within the franchise and change within the expanding universe, of whom are true fans of Star Wars.
Yes.
Versus like, oh, if you just like the original trilogy, then just say you like the original trilogy. You don't need to say that you're a fan because ultimately you're not. I'm not going to say I'm a fan of Fast and the Furious just because I like maybe one or two of those movies. I'm not going to say that. So if, again, like I've seen other people say, if this isn't something that you're going to watch, you don't have to watch it. Like I don't watch Young Jedi, for example. And unfortunately, like D. Bradley Baker said that that's one of his favorite Jedi performances and little voice creatures that he's ever fucking done. But am I going to watch Young Jedi Adventures? Probably not. But I'm also not going to waste the energy shit talking.
Sure.
It's the emphasis of choosing where and how we're wanting to put our energy. And, you know, being able to take a step back, it really does help. And like, you know, really choose how you want to react and what you want to say. And the true people who do love the continuation of Star Wars will make themselves known. And you will find those safe spaces as we've been able to show here and create here. And I'm really excited for a lot of the upcoming stuff with the Acolyte. So one major thing before I finished my tirade was like the big reveal of the last 2 episodes of the quote unquote miracle birth, right? And everyone's like, oh, this diminishes so much of like Manic and Plagueis stuff.
Right.
I'm like, no, it doesn't. Not at all. Because like even if you have 2 witches who created 2 twins, like it's still, you still have 1 Sith Lord who created like 1 child, which still created like, you know, it didn't change anything. If anything, it just gave more emphasis and gave more background weight and history to the overall magic. Like, this is what needs to be embraced. And like, you know, if the gatekeepers don't want to do it, then that's not up to us to try to change the position of gatekeepers. They shit talk and they're trolls. So it's,
I mean,
it's
you can't change someone's personality. You can't change how someone else chooses to express. All you are in control of is how you choose to interact. And I agree with everything you're saying. I think you're making some solid points. The only thing that I think I split off from you with is I am against the notion of gatekeeping to the point where I would disagree that people who only like the first 3 movies, I would say they are also Star Wars fan. I would say someone who's only watched the holiday special and that's it, but they enjoyed it, they're a Star Wars fan. I don't think that we need to start establishing prerequisites for calling anyone a fan. I think that if you connect with the material in any way, then your fandom experience is valid and no one can take that from you. But that cuts both ways. People who earnestly enjoy the Acolyte are valid for thinking so, and you can't take that away from them. Even though people are trying tooth and nail, they are desperately fighting to try and take that from us. But they can't do it because they have no power. They have no power over our own opinions. Like, I don't know. I had a YouTube comment the other day calling my integrity into question for basically for enjoying the Acolyte. And I found that endlessly ironic that refusing to being bullied into conforming to a hateful opinion makes my integrity the one in question. Like, the opposite is happening here. Like, refusing to be, like, I shouldn't have to be in a position to be refused to be bullied in the first place. But like, that has nothing to do with integrity, man. Like, I'm going to tell you what my true and real opinion is, no matter what. And like, anyone who thinks that like it's being influenced by my like a financial incentive, like, you know, this access to Lucasfilm, it's like, that was an amazing experience. If you go back in my videos to like 6 fucking years ago, you will hear me saying word for word the same opinions I'm saying now. You know, and I was nobody back then. It's my opinions have not changed at all. And if anything, I was recognized for that. I was not incentivized in any way. And I think people really grapple with that because they're being fed a narrative that like no one actually likes this show. Anyone who says they like it is disingenuous. And it's very hard for them to reconcile with what they're seeing in front of them. This dude having a great time with his best friend watching the Acolyte, but he's 35 and he's supposed to hate it because he grew up with this and that. And like, I've got all these Legends books behind me, but for some reason I'm not throwing a tantrum. They can't reconcile that with the narrative they've been sold. And I don't know. I would love to know a way to get through to these people because I want to embrace them and bring them back into the fandom community where they belong and not on this weird fringe on the outskirts. Because I don't think that everybody in this massive movement is a bad person. I really don't. I think a lot of people are lonely people and people with no direction and people that are malleable to the point where you can tell them what to believe. Those are not qualities that inherently make anyone a bad person. Anyone can fall in with a crowd. Anyone can get like swept up in something and kind of caught along with for the ride. I really think that there's hope for these people and that we can bring them back into the fold if we just show a little bit of grace and a little bit of compassion. And instead of going for the clap back, go for the insight, go for the understanding, or at the very least, end the conversation. If it's not going anywhere, if it's devolving and spiraling and turning into insults, fucking death threats, you know, which unfortunately has become relevant this week in the Star Wars community, none of that is acceptable. And you don't need to let the conversation get that far. It takes 2 to tango, you know, you are in charge of whether you keep responding to these people. I respond sometimes because I have a platform and I feel like when there's a teachable moment, I have an opportunity to spread that as a signal boost. But like a lot of these people, like I saw a comment in here earlier saying that this is a very for-profit business model, especially on Twitter. Now that they've got this weird monetization thing happening, like people will post these rage baiting responses hoping to get slam dunked because they get paid. It's income for these people. And it's, oh my God, we are in the worst timeline. It's just, the more I think about it, I'm just, oh God, how did we get here? But I don't think that we're past the point of no return. And I think that there's a lot of people that we should be embracing rather than like decrying. And like nobody's perfect and everyone's making mistakes. But I believe that a lot of people can be brought back to the light.
I don't know. Sexism and racism are pretty hard things.
Sexism and racism are terrible things, and I decry them and denounce them. But I do not believe that every criticism levied against this show is racially motivated or motivated by bigotry or sexism. There are plenty of things that people might not like about the Acolyte, and that if you hate the Acolyte, you're not automatically sexist. Or I don't know who needs to hear this, but like apparently people do, because every time we denounce misogyny, sexism, racism, people are like, well, all my valid criticisms, blah, 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 blah. Like, spare us the not all haters. Like, we get it. We're talking about the racists right now. So if you're not racist and you hate the Acolyte, I guess we've established we're not talking about you, guy. You know, like, it's fine. It's a straw man argument.
Yeah, I would say obviously
Absolutely.
not all criticisms are right. Yeah, pretty obviously not all criticisms towards the Acolyte or towards any show, any body of work anywhere are not rooted in bigoted ideology. But when I get a comment like that on a post where I call it out, it's like, why are you getting so defensive about this? If you know that you have not partook in this behavior, why are you asking me to go out of my way to, you know what I mean? Like, I think that yes, you're right. And if we have to say it sometimes, just to make it very, very clear, like, yes, of course you can have valid criticism without being a bigot. However, there's a lot of bigotry out there, and there's a lot of loud-mouthed people who are using this as an opportunity. You know, they see people, they're joining the bandwagon, you know. So I yeah, exactly. It's a little like, you're right, Kyle, but I just think it's like we shouldn't have to. You know, like maybe go look in a mirror. If your response to my tweet saying "Don't be a racist" is "I'm not a racist,"
right?
Well,
right.
I wasn't talking to you, but was I talking to you? Why are you so defensive?
Why is the impulse to argue with that sentiment? You know, if someone says Star Wars is for everybody, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta argue with that one. I gotta weigh in and disagree." It's like, really, what are you contributing here? I completely agree with that, and it's a very nuanced issue. Just like Droid Herder's saying here, like it's complicated because there are people who do need to get educated, do need to be like condemned for their actions, but there are also people in that group that need to be brought back into the fold. People with bad agendas acting in bad faith demonstrably should be denounced and really not really engaged with, because that's all they want is that engagement and interaction. And if you deny them that, it's like snuffing out oxygen and killing a fire, you know, very effective. It's a lot of times people just want to hate on the Acolyte, even when that's not the topic. And so if the Acolyte is brought up in any way, they take the opportunity. And if you're decrying racism, transphobia, homophobia, like all of it, someone will come in and they will deliberately lump themselves in with that group so that they can complain about being painted with the wrong brush. Even though, like you said, we weren't addressing you in the first place. You know, it's the exact same thing as like the whole not all men, all lives matter, like all the it's that shit again. That's all it is. That's all it is. But not all haters are racist. It's like, yeah, but you're still a fucking hater. I don't really want to have the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the most important thing. It has nothing to do with your opinion and everything to do with how you choose to express your opinion. Like, I'm seeing all kinds of people in here talking about, well, I think the writing is terrible in the Acolyte. And like, I get called a bigot. Blah, blah. It's like, well, if all you're talking about is the writing, then no one has any reason to call you a bigot. If you can find a way to express that opinion without being bigoted, you're probably not a bigot. Good job. You know, again, not focusing on you. But there's people out there that for whatever reason cannot find a way to express their opinion without resorting to this vitriol. And it's because they are parroting these narratives that have been fed to them. And a lot of those people are just like looking for a place to fit in, looking for a movement where they feel like they can belong. And I feel like there's some common ground where you can access them there. And a dialogue can be like, all hope is not lost, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. All hope is not lost here. The internet is toxic. It always has been. It always will be. It is our responsibility as creators and members of communities to carve out our own spaces, to have a little bit of peace and quiet, and be able to nerd out about Star Wars. And I think all three of us here have been pretty good about doing that. Yeah, and if you have an issue with the acting, that you can have an issue with the acting, man. You are absolutely entitled to your opinion.
Oh, he meant pacing, not acting.
Oh, so I don't speak typo. I thought it was going to resolve the other direction.
No, pacing.
Pacing, okay.
Pacing, which is fair. So Devil Dog, I will say, when you watch all 4 episodes collectively now, like without the week difference or like without the collective credits, it does play out way more like a monster movie. Like there is something about this show that is slowly turning very like, and like every kind of pun intended, because we keep calling this dude Smilo Ren and Darth Teeps. But this show is like so much like Jaws, right? Because we keep mentioning the shark. We keep mentioning the fucking creature, but we don't get to fucking see anything. And then when we eventually get into talking about the Acolyte, we'll be getting into Teeps, because like
that last episode though, that was the fin in the water.
Bro,
we finally
dude,
seen
the
the
fucking
fin,
the bright burn fucking slow descent, bro. But yeah, so we'll break that down too, because like I think you might be right about like who might be under the hood, but after reading some other comments and thinking about it for like a week now since, I'm like, dude, what if the Acolyte isn't really even the fucking person that we think is the Acolyte? What if the Acolyte is
I'm expecting a twist. I'm expecting a twist for sure.
What if Chiefs is the Acolyte this entire time, and like there's some other Dark Lord that
I think May is the Acolyte, Teef is the apprentice, and then he has a master that has not been revealed.
Yeah, right. So yeah,
or they, because we don't even really know if
But I love that they haven't used the S word yet. They still have not used the S word.
No one has said Sith. No one has said
Still no Sith. Yeah, like all we've seen is a Crimson Saber.
We've heard Witch, we've heard Dark Jedi, and we've heard Splinter.
Yeah,
Splinter faction. We've not heard Sith.
Yeah. So, and then we
Darth
already Darth Colgate. But bro, I mean, like, I'm pumped for this upcoming, like, the flashbacks, bro. I'm pumped for the flashbacks. The more I was thinking about it too, and how Mother Anasea was like able to mind control fucking Tobin.
That's coming back up. Oh, that's coming
everyone's just gonna get mind controlled and murk each other.
They didn't just show us that flavor. Like, that's definitely something they introduced so that someone can get mind controlled later, and it's gonna matter to the plot. Like, what if it's even May? What if May is even being mind controlled to start the fire,
bro?
You know,
what if it's I don't know, dude. Mind controlled Kelnaka, dude. Can you imagine?
What if the Jedi did murder the witches? What if the Jedi did murder the witches, but it's because they were being controlled by another one of the witches to frame them? You know, like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much still. There's still so much, but yeah, no. So so Devil
Get the fuck out of here. It was all a dream. So she's just gonna wake up in a bed somewhere and be like, "Whoa!"
You watch it now all together. It's so much like Jaws. It's fucking amazing, like how it's playing out like a monster mystery almost of like, when's it gonna show itself? When's it fucking gonna show itself? We have to. Everyone we try to find is already dead. Like, god damn it.
I do agree that like it flows way better when you binge these episodes.
Ooh.
Do you prefer shows where like it feels like an extended movie in that way, or like when they're more self-contained? Every episode has a solid beginning, middle, and end. You know, like how the Bad Batch and like Clone Wars separated their arcs together, and you can like
watch. Mando was really good having.
Oh yeah.
Versus Kenobi, for example, which like half those episodes didn't really have endings. It was just kind of like the scene continued in the next episode. Like it was very clearly designed to be like watched in one sitting.
Or anything like Mike Flanagan.
I couldn't binge a Mike Flanagan show. I don't have the emotional capacity for that.
You're just crying by the end.
I know. I'd be ruined after that shit.
But Miss Sawyer, sorry.
Yeah, you were about to say.
Oh no, I don't even know like if I've put that much thought into it. I think like my favorite shows, I mean, one of my favorite shows is Loki, and that was definitely week by week, like needing that.
Dude, and they time jumped like a motherfucker in season 2 also, bro. Like they were so Tarantino about it.
But then another one of my favorite shows was the Last of Us adaptation, and each of those episodes were very like their own contained story. Obviously, I've played the game, I'm familiar with the story. I like it has an overarching arc, but I think the way that they did the adaptation was every episode was its own self-contained story.
Right.
So I think it depends, but I'm definitely gonna go back. And my partner still hasn't seen any of the Acolyte, so maybe we'll wait and we'll just binge the whole thing together.
Hell yeah! As a first timer getting to watch it all at once, that's going to be really rewarding, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone in here was talking about the abrupt endings. I don't see the comment right now, but I will say that like I don't know. Oh, here it is. I have a weird takeaway about it. Is that like, yes, the endings of the episodes are very abrupt, but it reminds me of reading a Legends book and being like interrupted every like 20 pages by my mom needing me to do something.
Bro,
which is
fucking
an
Dark
experience
Sol
I'm very familiar with. And so I'd be like,
dude.
and then he turned on the red
Fuck
saber
him.
and said, Acolyte kills the dream. And it's like, Kyle, take the trash out. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to put the book down. And like, and that's the end of the episode, you know, just an abrupt, unceremonious ending. It rings true for my experience of reading Legends books as a teenager. So.
Bro,
I thought you were gonna say how so many Legends books have multiple POVs, and it's very like. I remember reading Revan for the first time, and like it goes into Scourge, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't want to read about him. I love Scourge now that I'm well acquainted, but like.
Oh, interesting. So they did the Bram Stoker Dracula thing where like it's one collective story just from different people's letters.
I mean, that's George R.R. Martin's style too, like the Game of Thrones books. He'll have like a chapter from Daenerys's point of view and then a chapter from Jon Snow's point of view, etc. Yeah, and I think that is absolutely being reflected in like this Rashomon style storytelling where like that flashback was absolutely from a singular person's point of view. It was only Osha.
Yeah.
And that's evidenced by the title being a single word instead of like word / word, like justice/revenge. You know, it was both of them.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see what tomorrow's title is called.
Last week's was Day.
Together now.
It's going to be Night.
Whose perspective was Day from? Yeah, it probably is going to be Night. But whose perspective was that last episode from? Was it May's or was it Osha's?
Probably Osha. I mean, not Moshe. Sorry. Yeah, no, probably Maze for sure. Because she was the one that was like, you know, following Chimera majority of the time. She was the one that was like in the hut, found Kelnaka's body. It was, you know, it was her perspective that we were watching it from when we saw the shadow get cast over the set. Like, I felt it was a little bit more from hers.
I noticed that that May, God damn it, me and twins. It's just a long story at this point. But I feel like May was characterized really differently in that last episode. Like every previous episode where we've seen her as a grown-up, she's been very intense. She's been very like aggressive and like quick and decisive in her movements.
Yeah.
And I think that's because we're seeing Osha see her sister be this way. But because we're from May's perspective in the forest, like she was much more measured, much more thoughtful, much more sympathetic. And like, I think this is how May sees herself versus how Osha knows her sister's alive. And that's why the characterization was so much softer in that episode.
But she also knows that her sister's alive now and that her priorities now are completely.
Yeah. And Chimera did not like that one bit.
No.
Sawyer, what's your take? I'm of the opinion that Chimera is Smiler Ren. I think it's him.
I think he is Smiler Ren. I released what I believe to be one of my favorite things I've ever done for Yap Sesh so far this evening, which was our episode 3-4 recap or re-yap. And Yap Sesh is coining the Darth Sol theory. You heard it here first, guys. I think that's the big twist. I think Sol is the big bad. That is what we are subscribing to. He
Sol of Soul Patrol fame?
Interesting. I didn't know what you meant at first, and I was like, "Oh shit, really?"
The very notion.
Yeah, I think there's enough evidence. First of all, it would be a crazy twist that nobody would see coming. Second of all,
myself included.
My running theory for the past couple of episodes has been that they're actually not going to go back in time and give us those answers until the very last episode. So what I think is going to happen is the Jedi in episode 7 think they're going to win and defeat whatever is the entity. But then in episode 8, they're going to go back and redo that whole the fire or plus extra. We're gonna see more. We're gonna see all these pieces filling in the blanks up until the present day, because we have to get to a point where the Sith successfully infiltrate the Jedi Order.
Right.
So, and Sol is so compassionate. He's empathetic. He's not afraid to admit that he is. Yeah, so
he's the epitome of Jedi ideals. That would be such a blow. That would be so damaging.
And you know what? His name means Master Sol. His name means son.
Son, right?
It's true.
It feels intentional, and I'm a little bit delulu, but we talked about this for like 2 hours the other day, and I'm happy to be wrong, but I am also gonna sit here and tell you that. That's our theory. We coined it.
I mean, if that's true, it's right there in front of us. His name means son. There's a fucking eclipse in the title.
That's true.
Like,
been there the whole time. I didn't
being blacked out, covered in darkness. Like, you might be onto something there.
I did want to ignore this one comment here from Oscar Tekalote of how it was actually Basil's point of view. It's true.
Oh my god, I would love a Basil episode where everyone is just like speaking nonsense because he doesn't speak basic.
And it's all from like knee height point of view.
Yeah, it's Rugrats vision. You only see people's legs. Like, yeah. I love that they did that on Rugrats. You would never see the adults' heads like for the longest time. It was just like knee high. Yeah, I would take a Basil episode for sure.
Dude, he was great. What a also another.
My god, it would be so
little example and epitome of how forgot his name now. Jedi Yord, thank you. I was like,
Lord of the Yord Horde.
I was like, oh yeah, I didn't want to learn how to speak basic languages. I wanted to speak something unregular.
Oh my god, such a nerd. Such a nerd.
Yeah.
I love it though.
But it was so good. He came in clutch that episode. He came in clutch because Osha is straight up like, hey, real talk. If my sister needs to get killed, I need you to do it. And he's like, whoa, who's killing whose sister? It's not. Whoa.
I know. He's like, whoa, now we're not. Who's murdering who? Are they here?
Yeah, we're not here for that.
I really appreciate Yord. I think that he's great comic relief. And it's just so entertaining watching him try to throw his weight around when he doesn't have any weight. Like the way he tried to take that blaster from Osha in the last episode, and she's just like, nah, it's mine now. I'm keeping it. And like she still has it at the end of the episode. Like he just gave up. Like he's like, fine, no one respects my authority. Like Sawyer, you look like you just had a large epiphany. What happened?
Yeah, I was thinking about because I've been seeing a lot of chatter online on Twitter, like, I'm like people convinced that Sol is gonna die this week, and it could so be a red herring.
The whole "I'll explain everything after the mission." Like we've been here before, and it always hurts.
It always hurts. Every time. It always hurts. That's the.
He's a nice guy. He's. I'm like
before.
If it's Sol, I'm gonna take it as a personal blow because I find him to be the absolute epitome of Jedi ideals, and he's like my favorite Jedi since Qui-Gon Jinn came on the scene, and I will be heartbroken.
It would be such a good twist. And if anybody has the range, to pull it off, it's Li Zhongfei.
Dude, that would be some pretty full. That would be some pretty full Game of Thrones. Like if it ended up being Sol, and then like in some Thanos Endgame sort of way, he just throws Jecki off of the side of the fucking cliff.
Damn.
Like, oh well, you're my soul stone. Poof. Like damn, fun. Bro.
I mean, I've seen a lot of theories saying that Indara could be the Sith Lord. Indara very much looked like she died. She very much looked like she died. But did you ever see that movie Hero by Tan Dun with Jet Li and Donnie Yen?
Oh, so good.
He's an assassin that's sent to kill the Emperor, and the way that he gains the Emperor's favor and is able to get an audience with him is by killing all of these famous assassins that were threatening him. And what he did is he like learned this specific martial arts technique where you could stab someone like basically right next to their heart. You can like impale them and they like seem to be dead, but really they're like they fake their own. Like, what if it was some sort of a weird hero style ploy where she like took it into the heart, but it actually like she sustained herself with the force or did some sort of Jedi nonsense, you know?
No, Hero was beautiful. That was such a good movie. It definitely took me a couple of watches to like really have that point come across. And then again, the fact that each section of the story had a different color affiliation to it really fucking helped.
Dude, it was so cool. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like the false memory was blue.
Mhm.
Like then like the king's version was green, and then the truth was red. Like,
Yeah.
love that movie, man. It's just like a visual painting. Yeah, no. If you've never seen Hero, go watch that movie. It's so good. Kelly Knox coming in with the wisdom. What's up, Kelly? Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, see, I have to point out they never took that fucking guy's helmet off at the end, so we don't know that it wasn't tech. They never proved that it wasn't tech.
Merrick was always a fart cloud. Merrick always ended up being a fart cloud. So
yeah, what if he always was a fart? You know, that wasn't magic. That's just what his life form.
Yeah,
was.
he's just gaseous.
Just gaseous
Like
form,
Hellboy.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
he's
not
ectoplasm.
Don't even say such things. How dare you, sir? How dare you? And I will point out that all of our named Jedi went on this mission with a bunch of red shirts, or I guess brown cloaks, we'll call them. But like we've got all these Jedi that we've never met. We don't know their names. We don't know anything about them. They're clearly here to die.
Yeah, I mean, I do think though we're gonna lose somebody important this week.
Oh, you think we're actually going to lose like a main?
Yeah, I do. I think all the red shirts are going to go, and I think we're going to lose one of the like central Jedi. I don't know which one, but
yeah. I would be very.
It's probably like I would put money on Yord.
I guess we're more than halfway.
You think Yord's going to die this week?
I will be heartbroken if Yord dies.
Wow,
Yord has so much potential.
He
could come around. He could become such a wise Jedi if he could just get over himself, and it would be so satisfying to watch that play out. So I really hope he doesn't die. Also, Charlie Barnett is killing it. Like his characterization of Yord is really fun to watch.
He's a great Sokka, but like not a Sokka, to use a Airbender reference.
Yord's Padawan is standing in the parking lot of an elementary school waiting for a van to show up, and has been there for like weeks now. Poor Taziloa. She's, yeah, I don't know. It really feels like he just forgot her. I don't quite get it. We had a conversation about this after our last reaction too. Like Padawans that are young enough, like we saw Jackie in a class with other students at the temple, and we know that she's Saul's Padawan. So that kind of shows that Padawans still attend classes. So maybe Tazzy didn't go on the mission because she had like more training classes at the temple that she's in. You know, maybe the knights just like pluck their Padawans out of school to go on missions every once in a while, but they're not always with them. This is supposition on my part. You know, don't come for me if this is wrong. I'm just following the Star Wars tradition of like making up a bullshit answer to what appears to be a plot hole. But we don't know yet. We don't know where Tazzy is. It might even become plot relevant where she is. Like, we don't know.
Maybe not even Padawan. Like maybe like the equivalent of a TA. Like maybe she is a Padawan, but like, you know, she hasn't been directly assigned to a master yet.
She's assigned to the main office and she just goes with whoever needs.
Exactly. She's interning. She's interning.
I could see Yord being saddled with a Padawan very quickly as training wheels for Yord.
For a ride along? Oh, 100%.
Like, it's not really about him teaching them. It's about them keeping him from doing anything too ridiculous because the council knows Yord, you know? They're like, he needs someone to slow him down. So we're going to give him a Padawan.
That's fair.
Because Tazzy seems like she's really got it together. I could see her being like an internal affairs Padawan or something of that nature, if that's a thing that exists.
Oh, 100%. She'd be a hall monitor.
I think Yord would be the hall monitor.
Like, where's your bathroom?
Stash.
Where's your bathroom pass?
Yeah, right. It's Jedi protocol. You can't leave your class without a bathroom pass. I'm gonna write you up. What's your name? Yoda. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please continue, sir.
Force push into a locker.
He would be the kind of Jedi to give Yoda a parking ticket, like for his speeder out on the promenade or whatever. Mm-hmm. The letter of the law. Yeah, 100. There you go. She's ironing his robes. That's the training that he has. It's like a Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off kind of situation.
Oh my god.
Like, steam my robes until there's not a crease in sight, and then I will promote you tonight. Oh, so in terms of predictions, specifically for episode 5, I mean, like, long game, you're thinking we're going to get a terrible Sol reveal that I hope is not true. But would that be an episode 5 reveal? Or is that kind of a final
No.
episode kind
That's
of
a
thing?
final episode reveal.
Yeah, I think it might be.
But you still believe that Yord might be the one that we lose.
Yeah, I
Hope
would
not.
I would say it's either Yord or Jackie will lose tomorrow.
God damn.
I think honestly I would I hate to say it, but if I have to pick one, Yord has to go. I'm sorry. But I love them all, but between Yord and Jackie, it would be Yord for me. But
It would be really funny if Yord like almost gets his head cut off and he ducks and the saber like gives him a flat top.
Well, I am also
Damn.
curious when we're supposed to see the lightsaber whip, because the little
That's
like,
this
millisecond-
episode, baby. That's coming up right now.
because
That's
like
on this planet.
I was gonna say, because the millisecond in the trailer that we got to see it, there was woods and like
Oh,
trees
it's this planet for sure.
in the
Kofar.
background. So
Yeah.
at some point, she's got to show up.
I mean, here's the
Either she
timeline.
or
Here's the
bro-
timeline, right? Kelnaka gets murdered. The Jedi arrive. They confront Smilo Ren. Suddenly, Coruscant loses contact with the away team because, shit's getting crazy. Vernestra, sensing something is wrong, grabs a couple more Jedi and books it to
Spends
Kofar.
herself.
Yeah, she shows up personally with other Jedi with her light whip. And then we're going to get some sort of massive... I'm hoping we get an episode-long confrontation, and just the entire thing is like a really well choreographed, really nuanced. Like, I think what's going to happen is that force push is going to separate everybody, and then we're going to have a bunch of people disoriented in the jungle, and Smilo Ren's going to have one-on-ones with each of them,
Dude, that'd be very
kind of
pretty.
like
That
darting
would be
around in the
so
shadows.
Predator.
Exactly, he's keeping
That
them
would be
separated, picking them off one by one. And remember the Umbra moths, those things, the big beetles on the trees.
Mhm.
Jackie said they're attracted to light, and now it's nighttime, and everyone's got lightsabers. So, like, those bugs are about to be a big problem for the Jedi as well. Like,
And they'll be like,
just like the mind
coming out
control,
of the
we're being
trees.
shown these things for reasons. Like, we saw that bug, and Jackie said that line about light for a reason, because in this episode, I think it's going to be a big deal. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is absolutely going to be the Predator episode. Just a bunch of terrified Jedi being hunted in the woods
In the trees.
by like a red-bladed phantom. I would even call him a specter. Like, he doesn't even seem like he's really there, the way he just like floated down.
Okay, dude, the fact that twice now in this show we've seen the Force being used to completely levitate while meditating, and now to use Featherfall. Like, we saw Dooku use Featherfall in, like, I think the
Tartakovsky
Tartakovsky
micro series, yeah.
Yeah, but like now
bold
seeing it in
claim.
live action is it's so fucking cool. It's like, dude, if I could just levitate, like all the time,
Right?
why would I need to walk? Fuck
It's
that.
kind of the ultimate. It's kind of the ultimate flex.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah, there's so much
telekinesis
power,
level
yeah.
7. Like, let's fucking go. Like, absolutely.
Eventually, you get to like Dr. Manhattan level power, and you don't even use your limbs anymore. You just sort of like T-pose through your life and just use your mind to control everything that needs to be done.
Dude, that's probably what the Father does and all the other like gods of Mortis when they were still around and alive.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I believe the gods of Mortis don't even have corporeal forms, and they took those forms purely to communicate with Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. And they actually don't look like that. They look like, I don't know. They don't look
Yeah.
like anything. They look like light. They're like on a different spectrum, Because that seems to be a common trope in like when like a mortal meets a deity or someone of that level, is like you can't comprehend what they look like, and so they take on a form that your meager human brain can comprehend.
Oh, like Yoda with the 3 masks and just the floating.
Exactly. That's
masses.
not what they look like. That's not their true form either. I don't think the Bendu even really looks like the Bendu. For whatever fucking reason, that's what Kanan could make sense of. Was like a giant antler Build-A-Bear in the desert. I don't know why that's what he saw, but that's what he
Giant
saw.
mystic moose. Yeah.
Yeah, the mystic moose.
Moose crab. Yeah. Dude, okay.
Who knows what the Bendu actually looks like?
The hidden cutscene of something I saw online the other day was a meeting of Ahsoka and the Bendu that was supposed to happen before her fight with Vader. And like, he was supposed to say that she was supposed to die. And then Ahsoka was like, what do you mean? Like, die how? And then he's like, "Don't know, peace out, see you soon." And then we all, and then that's when Ahsoka starts to like, become beyond herself. But she totally went in there and be like, "All right, shit, I'm gonna fight this Vader dude and just die. All right, cool." But no, she learns that it's Anakin and then goes on this whole mystic quest and then becomes Ahsoka the White. And yeah, it's all good. It's all fucking good.
You know, it really never like occurred to me until just now that it would be not impossible, however impractical, to see the Bendu in live action in Ahsoka season 2.
Dude, that'd be so dope.
Ooh.
Like it's not really off the table. He didn't die. He became one with the Force, but like who knows what he can manifest? If you could, a man who can call down lightning,
who can turn into a
dead
storm
when he disappears and you hear a disembodied laugh. Like he's very much out there. If they do show the Bendu, I would want it to be a gigantic practical puppet, like Treebeard style, like how they did Treebeard. He's got a lot of fur, and I feel like fur is really hard or at least expensive to render. So for the budget's sake, make him a puppet. Budget sake. What am I talking about? This is Disney, all right? They just spent like what, $200 million on the Acolyte?
Yeah, the only other option
would animate him at $10 a follicle. They'd do it.
Right. The only other thing I could think of would be if they tried to just like Mufasa him in the sky somehow and just like
that could look cool.
I don't know.
Like a cloud formation.
Spirit illusion it somehow, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know. Make it like the Watcher, where it's literally just this giant outline and just big ass glowing eyes.
What if just like for a single moment in the Grogu Mandalorian movie, which I'm assuming is also going to be the culmination of like this new Rebels story too. Like I think Thrawn's going to die in this movie, and Ezra's going to be there. Like Mando, etc. Luke and Leia and Han might even show up. I don't know how I feel about that. I think Cal Kestis could even be in this movie. Like that could be a reveal that they're saving because like Cam Monaghan is definitely coming back into the fold somewhere. They're probably waiting until the third Jedi game is finished, like his trilogy's finished before they start bringing him into other stuff. But like, it's gonna happen eventually for sure. It's eventually gonna happen. But what if in the giant third act battle, whatever it turns out to be, Ezra falls in the Bendu like a kill streak reward, and he just like shows up, punches a couple dudes, and then goes back into the clouds or something, or like calls down some lightning
like a fucking Final Fantasy summon.
Yeah,
dude, that would be the greatest. That
the Bendu just manifests, kills someone, and leaves again.
That would be hilarious. Oh my god, he just dragon flutes that shit.
Yeah, he's just I am the Bendu. Comes in, like punches a Star Destroyer in the face, and then like runs away.
And it dips. Oh my god, that would be. I'd be okay with that.
And he's got a little CGI Freddie Prinze Jr. riding on his shoulders as a little Force Ghost. Force Ghost Kanan riding on the Bendu.
Anything, we could have Kanan's voice come out of like a fucking Loth Wolf. We'll get a live action Loth Wolf, and we'll get Kanan's voice to come out of it.
I'm down. I just watched that 30-minute VFX breakdown from Ahsoka that ILM posted. It's free on YouTube. I recommend everyone check it out. It was actually very, very interesting. And they talked about the Howlers in Ahsoka and how they used real horses. It just gave them like blue, like chroma keyed coverings, and then just like switched them out with the wolf CGIs after the fact. But like it's all real animals the whole time, which is why the actors like they're not just like waving at like ping pong balls on sticks like you would think. It's not all like it is motion captured, but there's a real live animal for them to act off of, and that's why it was so convincing. But I thought the whole thing was very.
I was going to say, fun fact for Princess Bride, they did that with dogs too. They put giant rat costumes on.
Oh, right for the rodents of unusual size.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it. Yeah, exactly. The Bendu is basically an AC-130 with antlers on. Only he shoots lightning instead of bullets. We need a young, ripped Jabba. Maybe that can be part of the High Republic show, because we know that Hutts live a very long time.
Dude, okay.
He's already like established by the Phantom Menace. So by the Acolyte time, like, is Jabba alive? Someone in the chat can confirm this for us before the end of the podcast, I'm sure. But like, I believe Jabba is he's a sprightly young man. Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Marvel or if it was Dark Horse, but I still remember seeing the visual of a war. It was essentially like a warlord Hutt, and like it was his body on a giant like metal gurney with spider legs, and he
Oh,
had
yes.
abs. And it was in a
High
viral
Republic
abs.
comic. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, bro, fucking
The Hutt Empire and the Jedi
on
joined
spider
forces
legs,
to
that's
fight the Nile. It
horrifying.
was awesome.
It
It was
was
awesome.
like, what is this dude? This is horrible. This guy's gonna kill the entire universe. But yeah, that was great. It was good shit.
Woodsy, why did you have to phrase it that way?
It's okay, guys. Their huts are they reproduce asexually, so you don't have to think about that.
Now I have new things I don't want to be thinking about that I'm thinking
I
about.
know a lot about the biology of Jabba the Hutt.
I just
That's
traded one
amazing.
visceral image for another. It's like a mitosis thing. They just like split off the end of their tail, and then that little chunk turns into a full-size hut.
Oh my god. Do you imagine?
Actually, they have a marsupial pouch, but
Ooh. Okay.
Really?
That's right, because you were the Star Wars biologist. You know these things.
yes, I do.
I have. Oh
So,
my
so
god.
huts have something in common with kangaroos.
How many do they hold?
Just one at a time.
Just one slug at a time? Damn.
Yeah.
Would the presence of that
also-
pouch categorize a hut as a
Fascinating.
marsupial?
No, they're not. They're not a real. They're called like. They're. I don't remember what they're classified as, but it's not a real actual animal class.
It's sure. Why would it be? But would you relate them to real world animals closer to like a marsupial because of those tendencies, or closer to like a slug? That's always what I thought of as a hut.
They have biology. Like they have marsupial biology, but they also have like
Frog?
the way that their digestive system works like a snail. So like, why do I know this?
Because that's just where your interest lies. And, you know, that's totally, we fucking appreciate all of it.
Because someone needs to know it, Sawyer.
Because circle
someone
it out,
needs to know it.
Sawyer, because
No, I've been
feels
thinking
right.
about like I'm like transitioning away from, well, I'm not transitioning away, I'm still making TikTok, but TikTok is just not the platform it used to be. So I've been trying to post on YouTube Shorts more, and I
Sure.
might just recreate that series because
I mean, honestly, I found the biologist shorts to be fascinating. So I learned quite a few things. I would recommend bringing them back. Chris Ryan's coming in with the knowledge here. Gracchus the Hutt was the shredded beefcake of a hut from
Yes.
High Republic.
Spider legs, dude.
All the
Yeah.
spider legs,
Dude, it
leading
was
people into
amazing.
battle. There was also a female Hutt warrior in that battle, who I think
Mhm.
was ranked above Gracchus, and she was kind of like calling the shots, and she was on like a giant weapons platform thing that was also very cool. Yeah, the Hutts in general had a very cool. They had a very cool like aesthetic.
Wild. Fucking wild.
So there's like trading card game art from back in like the mid 2000s by Darren Tan, who's a super prolific artist, done so much Star Wars art. He's fantastic. But he did a shot called the Hutt Fleet, and it shows a Hutt looking out a viewport at like several ships, and they kind of use the design sensibility of the sail barge, the katana, and the little sand skiffs, and extrapolate from that like what a spaceship might look like, and it has those same weird little like junted fins and things.
Oh, really? Interesting.
But they totally took Darren Tan's artwork and used that as the springboard for what the Hutt Empire looks like in the comics in the High Republic era, and it's very cool. Like there's some very cool continuity there, and a way of borrowing pieces from Legends and bringing them back into the fold. And I love it when they revisit concept art and like trading card game art, and like things like pull out sections from the West End Games role playing source books and things,
Yes.
and like canonize just these random things from all over Legends. It really like is heartening for people who are like Legends diehards who are upset about the fact that like these aren't the stories being directly referenced anymore in the narrative. It's like, yeah, but you're still going to see so many little bits and pieces brought into the fold, and I think that is plenty gratifying. You know, I'm a Legends fan. You know, I love Legends. I got all the books behind me, but I think the way elements get incorporated into the new canon it's fun. I think that it's done in a respectful way 9 times out of 10. You know. Honestly, new canon is more respectful of Legends than it is of its own new canon. Like I've seen more things get retconned in the new canon than like ever get disrespectfully portrayed from Legends. Like that's not even a thing.
that's not. Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Like
That's really funny, actually.
like it's like you want to talk about Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday. Talk about how many times Shaak Ti died in Legends. Talk about Kanan the Last Padawan. Talk about Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. Like that problem still persists, and canon steps on its own toes all the time. I think that honestly, when Legends comes in, they're more careful than when they're writing their own new stories. Like, there's way more effort and care and attentiveness being put into, like, because they know people care. They know there's so much passion out there, and people grew up with these stories, and they want to see them handled in a respectful way, even if they're not going to pay tribute to the entire story itself. They could take some place names, some technology, some people names, even entire events, and transpose them. Like, look at Thrawn entering the fold in the middle of the original trilogy instead of, you know, what would have been episode 7 time. That's when Heir to the Empire was supposed to take place. But, like, they changed his canon dates, you know. They edited all kinds of stuff on his Wikipedia article when he was brought into Star Wars Rebels. Didn't seem to have any sort of a fuss surrounding that scenario. But, I mean, it's nothing new. And Legends will continue to be adapted and reestablished in canon in ways that are not always recognizable. But that doesn't mean it's disrespectful, you know. I think people think that anything other than a one-to-one recreation is a disservice and a disrespect. And it's like, no, you could have nothing. They could choose to completely omit this character and never mention them again. But they're bringing them in a small way, you know. I don't know. I'm of the philosophy of take what you're given too, you know, rather than coming from an entitled viewpoint of, like, making demands for what it is that I want.
Yeah,
I've felt that multiple times as well.
I
Like,
want to be along for the ride. I
yourself.
don't want to be driving this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want the fucking vehicle to take me to the place and me just go, whoa, and look out the window. I don't want to be like, hey, hang a left up here. Then go straight. Okay, now pull over. Like, it's not up to me. And I don't want it to be up to me. And I don't think that, like, yes, Star Wars should cater to the fans, but no, Star Wars does not need to adhere to the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And I do understand. I mean, lots of us love Legend. I can still, first of all, they're republishing a lot of the Legends books anyway. And they never stopped publishing some of them. But I can go enjoy Legends, and then I can go over here and I can enjoy canon, and I can enjoy both of them, and I can take them both for what they are. And, like, you know, I still love the Old Republic. I cosplay Revan. Like,
Nice.
Yeah. They still exist. You know, I could go pick up Heir to the Empire and start reading it right now. The story has not been erased. Like, when Legends became, when the expanded universe became Legends, it's not like Lucasfilm held book burnings and, like, you know, got rid of any trace. It's like, no, we're just adding a new shelf with new books on it. And if you want to read the old stuff, it's right there. Same with adaptations. You know, if you don't like an adaptation, just go read the original. No one's getting rid of it. It's not replacing it. It's supplementing it. It's paying homage and tribute and celebrating it is really what it's doing. Yeah, no, this has been a fun conversation. I think we covered a lot of things that I think really did need to be said. And I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us and participating in this discussion in the chat as well. I'll be seeing you, Sawyer, in just a couple days here for something pretty cool. Do you want to talk about it?
yes, I do. So hello, y'all. My name's Sawyer. You know that already, but my content handle is Sawyerism. That's how I've been referred to for the last 4 years on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. I'm Sawyerism anywhere and everywhere.
Is that spelled correctly?
That is spelled correctly. That is me.
Nice.
Come find me.
A little flex for what we're about to talk about there.
Yeah. So the other thing that I do that I'm really, really, really proud of is I host a podcast called Yap Sesh with one of my best friends, Brooke B. Dazzler. We pride ourselves on featuring a lot of women in fandom, a lot of queer folks in fandom, people of color. Like, we want to offer a comfy, cozy space for fans that don't always get the opportunity to share their stories on our channel. So that is what our podcast is. But on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are having the first ever Star Wars Spelling Bee. And this is a very wonderful, exciting fundraising event that I've put together with a lot of my friends, including Kyle, who will be competing in the Spelling Bee. It is a Pride Month fundraiser. and we are raising money for Point of Pride, which is a charity that's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm super excited because we have a lot of really, really great creators joining in, potentially someone joining in live streaming from Disneyland. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But Yapsesh is partnering with Wikipedia to do this, which is really, really cool.
Nice.
So please tune in. We have some really cool donation incentives, both in like silly rewards, but also I just secured a lightsaber. We're giving
Nice.
away a pair of customized shoes, and I got a couple other of things to give out for donors. But even if you can't, spelling in basic, we're spelling in basic, but it's going to be Star Wars words only. So you're not going to be spelling bricks or screws.
Maybe the lightning elimination round will be in order.
You will have to spell. Oh, I'm sure.
I will say that Thrawn's full name is a bonus round question.
Oh, nice. Got that in the bag.
But and then we have a couple of people like videoing in some guest questions or guest stuff. But anyway, I'm super stoked, and I hope you tune in and come hang out with us, because I think it's going to be a big hit. And,
Absolutely, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And for those of you on my Discord server, I will be posting links and promoting it there as well. So you can jump on in. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come on in, support a good cause, donate some money, and maybe win some pretty cool prizes. Like, you got a lightsaber in there? That's pretty sweet.
Oh wait, hold on. I think I have it with me. I think it's right here. And not only is it a lightsaber, this will be for the top donor. Oh, why is my camera doing this? I literally
Did it follow you?
Whoa.
Yeah, my camera follows me, and I have this app that stops it from doing it, but it turns itself back on all the time. Anyway.
You need an app to stop your camera from following you?
Yes.
There's a story there, but I'll save it for next time.
Anyway, this is a rainbow hilted, like oil spill.
Oh wow!
lightsaber.
Oh, I see it now. That's
Look at
that's
the prismatic.
beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is mine that the company Sabermaster sent me, but they asked me, like, they're doing a discount this week, and I said I will absolutely advertise your discount if you would be so kind as to give me another one. And they said yes, so they already shipped it to me, and so the top donor during the stream will receive one of their own.
Hell yes.
Which is really cool. So shout out to Sabermasters for not only agreeing to do that, but they actually, when they originally reached out to partner with me, I told them that I told them no unless they agreed to donate some of their profits to Pride charity, and they said yes. So that's
awesome.
really cool, because a lot of companies will not do that. So yes, you can win this cool rainbow lightsaber. It's more colorful in person, but it doesn't show up on camera very cool, but it's cool.
It's got like an iridescence to it.
Yes, there's like an Ahsoka beanie, a couple of like Yapsesh merch. We've got a lot of stuff, but also come to see your favorite Star Wars creators be bad at spelling.
I'm gonna crash and burn, baby. It's gonna be great. No, it's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna come out on top. I'm secretly, well, I can't even pretend like I'm good at spelling. You guys have seen my tweets. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Come out and support me. That's the important thing. So we have one more item on the agenda here. You all know what I'm about to talk about here. It is time for the Gonk of the week. This week's Gonk, right here. Let me rearrange us here. Oh my goodness, you both really. We've never done this with 3 people before. How do we? There we go. Now the Gonk is tiny. This is chaos. This is chaos live in the studio right now. I don't know what to do. You can all see that though, right? That's not too small. This Gonk comes to us from Joel H. Crawford Smith. It is a custom job. Really nice colors on this guy, actually. I like the weathering. I like that we've got like a really nice teal. I actually painted my old kitchen like a very similar color to that. But then like it's giving way to like a really rusty, like copper tone metal. Like it's very striking. Is it
mailbox size? I'm trying to.
I think it's a 1:1 scale. I think it is 1:1 size. There are no reference markers in the photos though, so it is kind of hard to tell.
I like that it does have the little placement circle square thingy for it to like kind of balance on, at least within the grass.
I think it's on like a stepping stone or something. Yeah, because it clearly needs like a level surface for the feet there. Oh, it's totally like a piece of slate or something.
Gotcha. But yeah, that singular red eyeball is very striking and very
It's very Hal, isn't it?
It's giving how it's giving a little bit of like Fallout, like a Sultron kind of.
Ooh, I see it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're the round ones that float, right?
No, the Assaultrons are like the scary ones, but the iBots that works too. But I think I was thinking of like the color scheme with like
Oh, totally.
rusty and post-nuclear.
Yeah, I give this one a 11 out of 10 on the weathering, and I'd also like to point out that is absolutely like a little Texas Instruments calculator, just like glued on the back there.
Oh my god, that's fucking
Love
hilarious.
that. It totally is. He's got a little control
Shout out to
console,
all
so you
those
can
high school
under the back, and he'll do whatever he needs. We've
Well,
also
the
got
other-
a power cable on top for fast charging of the Gonk, which leads me to believe that we have some electronic components here. The other thing about greebling is it's always really hard to tell what's functional and what's decorative, because we got stuff plugged in here to a board. I don't think that board does anything, but I think that cord might actually power some sort of a feature, probably like a speaker, something
Projector.
like that. Maybe the eye lights up. But this is a fantastic Gonk. I'm very happy with this one. So Joel Crawford Smith, if you're watching, man, well done. Well done. We appreciate the Gonk. I think you're coming out of this one with an 11 out of 10.
Maybe he's a
which
movie
is-
projector. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Like if he's interesting. That'd be really fucking cool if he would be like an outside backyard projector.
like a projector would be awesome, but honestly, like if it was a mailbox and you just sort of hinged the middle and you could just like sort of open up, swing the middle up and like put a package in there, that could be pretty sweet too. And you could install a camera in the eye, so anyone that comes up, like every time there's a delivery or someone accesses the mailbox, it like
put your ring in there.
Yeah, exactly. Put the ring cam in there. Oh my god, dude, I want a ring cam in my Gonk droid, like in the front, like by my front door. That would be great. Or better yet, the eyeball on the stick comes out of the wall and he's all, "Oh, chua pinky." Like, that's what the ring cam should be.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I think there's a real market for that. I don't think I would be the only one buying one of those. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. This is all we've got for the Dork Forces podcast, number 73. We will be back next week to discuss episode 5 of the Acolyte. I'm of two minds. I can't wait, but I'm also terrified because I really hope that we don't lose Yord. I really hope that nothing awful happens. I hope that it's just the red shirts that die. And Vernestra's bringing more red shirts too, by the way. We saw her flanked by Jedi leaving that shuttle. So like, there's gonna be a lot of death, and I'm hoping none of it is our crew, you know. But I've been wrong before, you know. But Sawyer, thank you so much for joining us. This was a fun conversation. And let the good people watching at home know where they can find you.
Yeah, well, I already said Sawyerism everywhere, and like
right.
literally everywhere. I got really lucky, and all of my social media is the same exact Sawyerism. And then the podcast is a Yap Sesh podcast. You'll know it from the rainbow lettering on our Pride Month profile picture right now. We're on YouTube and we're on Spotify. We post every Wednesday at noon Eastern, usually. A little bit of a different posting schedule this week for the Spelling Bee. But again, the Star Wars Spelling Bee, first of its kind, sponsored by Wikipedia, will be on this Wednesday, June 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
See you guys there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always, may the Force be with you.
We can truly experience the universe.
今、私たちは宇宙を実感できる。世界を実感できる。衛星放送のために BS チューナー内蔵。ドームスピーカー搭載。パナカラー X。
Panasonic. Itsimo, something new. My job is to surprise everyone, to entertain them. Right now, I'm surprised and entertained.
今、ジョージ・ルーカスを驚かせ、楽しませているもの。キューヘッドの高画質、ナショナル